All right, folks, this is another Health Haven podcast. We have celebrity trainer Don Saladino on the line. How's it going, Don?
Elliot, thanks for having me, buddy. It's all good.
We appreciate it. Don, can you just tell us real quick where you're from, your background?
Sure. I'm from Cold Spring Harbor, New York. It's a small town in Long Island, just outside of Huntington.
Okay.
God, I lived there for, I want to say, 25-plus years. Went off to college. After that, in Connecticut, played college Division I baseball. And then right when I graduated school, back in '99, was when I pretty much, pursued nutrition and fitness, and I, came into the city, got a job in Manhattan, running around, doing one-on-one clients after I worked at a big box gym. It's pretty awesome, man. I got to be honest. I mean, I, went off to college expecting to play beyond college, and that didn't work out, but the entire time I was off playing at school, I had this dream, and just this passion of just weight training and working out, and it was just something that I knew how to fit into my profession no matter what I was doing.
Was there anything in particular that led you in going into the fitness world?
Yeah. I mean, it was baseball that really opened the doors for me. But I got into weight training when I was probably 16, 17. The entire time I was playing through college, I was double majoring. I was majoring in business and I was majoring in athletics and exercise. So it was just something where I was so much more passionate about that than anything else that I had a feeling that it was going to take me to where I am right now.
Excellent. When it comes to training methods, what training methods do you use personally?
Yeah, well, personally, it's funny because I'm really hopping around a lot. I mean, I pretty much, when it comes to my own personal workouts, I design everything in blocks. So I could be doing, West Side, and I could be doing, the whole conjugate method and max effort, dynamic effort for a few months. And then from there, which is more of a powerlifting background, I'll dive more into bodybuilding. Through the entire time, I pay really close attention to the, functional movement screening and my FMS and how my body's moving, and that's really a great tool to just let me know, if certain areas of my movement patterns are kind of slipping away. Because as you know better than anyone, when you dive into one specific training style, right, it can get a little one-dimensional. Absolutely. So, especially with bodybuilders, bodybuilders are just focusing so much on aesthetics and how they look, but they start losing that movement pattern. And then what happens is they start losing a little bit of athleticism, and injuries might occur. And then, when an injury occurs, they're unable to push their physique the way that they need to push it. And that's holding them back. And, on the other hand, you can be, working on just power and speed, but if you don't have enough muscle to support all that, muscle is really, to me and to my clients, that's body armor. So I really, personally, how I train clients and how I train myself, throughout a year it becomes somewhat of a blend. And I have to pick and choose according to their travel schedules, according to their stress levels, what I'm really going to be dialing in on. So do I just turn around, do I just pull programs out of the air? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm looking at a client's schedule, their travel schedule, and I'm trying to almost, plan in advance. What do I think is going to be a good route for us to go? This is on top of, what are they training for? If I'm training a professional athlete, then naturally we're training only specifically for that sport. But for the majority of the clientele that comes in, I mean, let's face it, they want to feel good, look good, and, be strong. So they almost want a little bit of a blend of everything.
Now, you are a celebrity trainer, and I imagine that very different than the average clientele. What differences do you see when you deal with your celebrity?
It's really not. I mean, I think this is the misconception. Everyone thinks that because you're training celebrities that there's something different. I mean, at the end of the day, what is different is that when they're training for a role in advance, they have extra time to train and they have extra time to rest. Okay. But it's almost easier. And when they come to you, it's not, this is part of their job. So that's why I really enjoy working with them, because it's very similar to me working with professional athletes. When, right now I'm getting Ryan Reynolds ready for Deadpool, and I was with him yesterday, and it's something where this is his job. He takes it incredibly seriously, and we're sitting there working on nutrition, and we're discussing how he's resting. They just had a baby, so there's all these factors that are really important for him to pay attention to. So a celebrity trainer, I'm a strength coach and trainer that just happens to train celebrities. I mean, calling me a celebrity trainer, I never really understood it. It was just something where the majority of my clients are, normal people. That's what operates my, establishment, Drive 495. And, I've probably worked with anywhere from 30 to 40 different, maybe even more, different athletes and celebrities. So it's been fun. It's been a great thing for business, but in a nutshell, they come to you with a goal in mind, and it's your job to get them there.
But now, you mentioned Drive 495. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Drive 495 is a club my brother and I opened 9 years ago. It was kind of interesting. It first started mainly focusing on pretty much executives and golf fitness.
Okay.
And it turned out, it turned into more of a sports overall performance club. My first celebrity I ever worked with was Hugh Jackman, and I got him ready for Wolverine in Australia. I mean, this was a while ago, probably 7 years ago. That's what got me really into the business pretty heavily and helped me become a pretty recognizable name in the fitness industry. But right around that time is when the club went from, mainly just being golf and golf fitness to just overall performance. And, we're a place now you can come into and, we have doctors will send you to for bloods and saliva and adrenal testing. And, we have different, devices that measure readiness. And it's not just about coming in and doing sets and reps. We're paying really close attention to the nervous system. We've got a phenomenal nutritionist that works with us that has a complete understanding on all this stuff. So he works really closely with all of our coaches and all of our physical therapists and, even our golf coaches, because we still have golf coaches in there. So, it was a club my brother and I opened a while ago, and I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of the club's name pretty soon, hopefully. And it's been a great project for us.
Now, it seems like that facility is the facility of the future. It seems like a lot of things are going on besides just the old school style of like resistance training type of gym. Where else do you see like the future of fitness heading?
You know what? The future of fitness, I think at the end of the day, I mean, I'm telling you what you already know, but the deadlift, the squat, the bench press, these are the most important movements. I mean, these are movements that aren't going anywhere.
It's very old school, just basic compound moves.
Compound moves. These are still the foundational lifts. I mean, we still need this. And I know for last 10 years, everyone got into these sexy movements and bouncing on Swiss balls and core training and this and that. And now, what are we seeing a lot in the industry? We're starting to see people pushing sleds and swinging ropes and swinging kettlebells and using their body to move. So that's awesome stuff, but everything becomes a little trendy. So I think really in this industry, you're still going to see these old school movements that you and I were really raised on. Right. We're going to see that all these movements out there, they're just tools. And it's not something that there's no be-all, end-all. It's normally a red flag that goes off for me is when I hear a trainer I'm a kettlebell trainer. I'm like, I love kettlebells. I'm RKC certified. I'm SFG certified. But this is the tool in my toolbox. You know what I'm saying? And this is just something that we use, to get from point A to point B for one specific individual. And anytime someone is just dialing in on one specific training methodology, unless you are training for one specific thing, I think it's normally a red flag in my opinion.
I see it the same way, and I always equate it to a batting stance. I look at the way a person moves, and when they're training, if it works for them, then I sort of leave it alone. Why are you going to try and fix what's not even broken? Yeah, hitting home runs, let it go. Right, exactly.
Yeah, let it go. I think a lot of times what happens with trainers out there is that they become a victim of, they've got to always deliver, the new sexy thing. And at the end of the day, what's going to make you a good trainer is good coaching, coming in on that day and not pushing a client past the limit that he or she should be going past that day. You wonder if your client got off a plane after being on it for 18 hours and they're not sleeping and they're fighting with their wife and they're dehydrated and they're undernourished, then why are you going to go for a max PR deadlift the next day? It's a poor decision. And it's been my line of the month right now is they didn't show Rocky laying in bed for 6 months after he fought Apollo Creed.
Right.
It's just no one is at Ellie. You know this better than anyone. Yeah. When you're run down, when you're beat up, it's time to rest. It's time to recharge. Come back on Tuesday with a better workout. Make sense?
Just as important as the training is the rest time. Definitely. Just really quick, what other projects are you currently working on?
Wow, man, there's a bunch of them. I just finished a project called Cosmo Body, which was a lot of fun. I'm launching my new website within the next 2 weeks at donsaladino.com. We're currently right now working on an expansion with Drive 495 locations to be determined, but we're putting together a big business plan right now. We owned an app company called Jordan that was just acquired by Stack Media. We built the apps on Dwayne Wade, Adrian Peterson, and Nurniel, which is more of like their fitness lifestyle, app. Part of a project called the Body Wrench, which is more of like a rolling device. It's like it's not like a foam roller, but it's almost the same purpose.
Okay.
And man, I mean, just a bunch of other little projects going on that, I want to talk about. I just can't because I'm going to jinx it right now. But some really, really good stuff. I'm always keeping everyone up to date on my, my social media handles, my Instagram and my Twitter, Don Saladino. It's been good stuff.
Can you give us all your social media handles real quick?
They're all the same. It's Don Saladino, DonSaladino, and it's Twitter, Instagram, and I got my Facebook page. You just type in Don Saladino to any of those, and you can see I'm always giving daily, nutrition, cooking, fitness, whatever it is. I kind of bounce around from topic to topic on what I feel is a cool little topic that day. But I've been doing a lot more cooking stuff lately, which has been fun, and it's kind of been what I'm really I'm not saying battling, but it's been something that's really pushing me lately is, and I can tell by your pictures, is you've worked pretty hard on your physique. Wow. And a lot of times working on your physique like that can, and I've done it, but it's not always the healthiest thing for you. People don't understand that. So I'm really trying to pay close attention right now on how do you build the best physique possible, but then how do we improve hormone function? So how do we still get those good fats in, and how do we, measure our macronutrients, and how do we know when to have what during that day? And as you know, it changes for each individual, but that's been that's definitely been a fun learning experience for me the last, decade.
Yeah.
So the body changes. So
I think it's really important, because I think what sometimes gets overlooked is that when we're coming to maybe physique training or getting ready for an NPC or an IFBB pro bodybuilder show,
sure.
You don't see, like you referenced, you don't see Rocky laying in the bed for 6 months. You don't see, after those shots are taken, what happens to the body after it's been carb depleted, after it's at 6% body fat. Is that functional long term? Is there a strength and power loss? And I think a lot of people don't really see that side of it.
No, they don't. I think it's very intelligent how you're dialing in on it right now. I mean, unfortunately, kids and young teenagers or even young adults are opening, going to the cover of Muscle and Fitness or whatever it is, and they're seeing a guy staying on the cover who's got, 4% body fat, and they're saying, oh my God, how am I going to look like that all year long? And they don't understand that they don't look like that all year long. That's been, a lot of times these guys going to water depletion.
Right.
And you got to be smart about coming out of that after you dehydrate your body like that. How do you slowly start incorporating those nutrients back into your body where your body doesn't have a bad effect from it? Or I remember one time I saw a guy put on between 30 and 35 pounds in 2 days after a show because he just went nuts.
That's insane.
It's not healthy for the body. Absolutely. So I know there's a way to get really, and then obviously you and I have been working on it, but how do you get really lean? How do you stay really strong? But how do we continue to get those nutrients that we need into our body so hormonally our body can recover and our body can continue to develop? Not where, our testosterone levels start dropping and our growth hormone levels are dropping and all these levels in our body that should be naturally, being naturally produced are being damaged because we're running around all day having no carbohydrates. This is something I wish the industry would talk more about, because it's really giving off a false perception to these young kids coming up. And, that's why a lot of times these people dive into steroids. They don't realize that they can develop an incredible physique without having to touch that stuff.
Absolutely.
And, it's just, that's a whole other conversation.
I couldn't agree more. And I try to hammer that home with the fact that, all right, depending on the age level, you might have a 25-year-old who, looks at, 5% body fat. But what are you going to look like when you're 40, 50, 60, 70? Yeah. Are you planning to live that long? And that's something that, again, just backing up what you're just saying right now, I think the industry is really, a lot of things that are going on in the industry and some of these magazines there has to be a counterbalance. I think you and I provide that. We try to anyway,
Yes. I mean, you're coming from my same school of thought here. I mean, yes. I would love them to talk more about this. I'd love them to discuss more about this rather than just giving information on how to look like that, which isn't always even true information.
Right.
Why don't we discuss a little bit more on how we can maximize how that engine is running, how that body is moving, how that body is reproducing. So, in the long run, it can burn more fat. So in the long run, your testosterone levels can be, better naturally. Right. These are things I'd love for these magazines to start dialing in on, and you're starting to hear more about it now. I'm starting to see, I'm reading, I still like skimming through this stuff just to see what's current, and I'm seeing that they're adding, little things on coconut oil and, olive oil, and, now you're starting to see how these bodybuilders are really adding carbohydrates into their diets a lot more now, and these things that they never really spoke about years ago, where it was almost like, high fat. No. We need fat in the body. So
absolutely.
I think it's going to slowly start coming, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah. All right, Don, I don't want to take any more of your time. Folks, that was Don Saladino on the Health Haven podcast. Don, thank you so much for your time.
Elliot, really appreciate it, man. I've been keeping up with you. It's an honor to be on, and love you to come down to Drive 495 one of these days. Maybe we can get a workout in together.
That'll be excellent. I'm going to take you up on that.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Don.